You have welcomed me during January. It has been a wonderful experience of divine mind in all of us expressing as love and beauty and kindness and attention in the spiritual dimension. We have all shared being an idea, a divine idea in divine mind. We all are. You are, I am, everybody is. And I really have felt that during this month. Whenever I turn my awareness to thoughts of goodness, I'm expressing divine mind in and around me. I express divine mind when I have a kind thought, when I feel gratitude, whenever I see another being as a fellow idea in divine mind. Whenever I open my mind and heart to the good that everything and everybody in the universe shares as an essential part, expression of God in them. I am also sharing divine mind, expressing divine mind, when I consciously choose not to give power over me to the negative thoughts that sensory experience invites when I feel afraid, for instance, which the news as of the last couple of weeks has been full of potential things to be afraid of. And our shared gift to the universe and to each other and to ourselves has been to say, no, I do not give power over me to that idea. I express love on this day, in this moment. I am an expression of the divine idea of love, not fear, or anger, or envy, or greed. Every time that I remember when one of those feelings comes up that, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to express that feeling. I want to practice expressing divine mind. Okay, here I go, expressing divine mind. And it's a constant choice. We've been talking about this all month. And there, we've talked about good and evil. We've talked about where evil comes from, not from divine mind. We've talked about being our true inner self, not our physical, earth-centered ego, with all of the chaotic feelings that we experience when we allow our physical ego to control our human mind. We just need to keep chugging along saying, no, not to that idea. No power over me. And affirm what we know, that we are all an expression of spirit. When, for instance, when I feel physical pain, and I get impatient with my body, I'm not thinking about my real body in the spiritual dimension. We all have a real, perfect, whole, energetic, agile, beautiful, ageless body in divine mind. When I am not aware of that spiritual body, but instead I'm paying attention to the molecular body, the physical mass, that I look in the mirror and say, oh, that's me. That's not me. That's the physical body that I've gotten used to recognizing. And it changes all the time. But my real, whole spiritual body is perfect. It never changes. And it is a part of me that's going to keep on going, no matter what happens to this physical body. Hey, it's like, pay attention to me. Then you are expressing divine mind. You are recognizing yourself as a divine idea. Or when I get impatient with something that's happening, with all the charges that I've accumulated on my credit card bill that I don't recognize. Ooh, I'm not being aware of my true abundant prosperity in spirit. I am prosperous, wholly and completely, as an expression of spirit. And yeah, I need to sit down and identify what all those stupid charges are and get rid of the ones that aren't doing me any good. Well, that's what I've been doing this weekend. But as I'm doing that, I need to be thinking as an expression of divinity. You know, this is prosperity. To be able to do that, to be able to say, oh, I don't need this, and I don't need that, and I don't need the other thing, which is absolutely true. I'm finding that, wow, the ways that companies find to charge us for things are totally amazing and unexpected. And I don't give them that power. So when I'm online and my dogs start to bark and I get impatient, I'm not being present in divine mind. I am not seeing them as perfect expressions of divinity. I'm seeing them as a nuisance. That's not a divine thought. So we have many opportunities, and that's what we've been sharing during this month in different ways. So I want to thank you all for being a part of Unity Central Montreal with me during this month. Often, I've really enjoyed joining meditations with you all at noon. Noon is not a time I'm usually free because I am working mostly as a global Unity teacher. And noon Eastern time is one of the 2 or 3 hours when the largest number of people across the globe are active and awake. So I'm usually on Zoom at noon, talking to people in many different places. So I have really enjoyed meditating with some of you every day at noon. It has been a beautiful friendship and sharing. And I thank you for joining me and allowing me to join you. I've also very much enjoyed the wonderful spiritual conversations that many of you have participated in on Wednesdays. I've learned beautiful spiritual awareness from you as I have discussed with you the topic of the day. And I guess I've found out that it's not possible to share movies virtually. So I'm sorry about that. But we had, on the other hand, because we were not able to watch the movies together, we had great conversations about their subject matter that we wouldn't have had if we'd been watching them. So thank you for those. And for anyone who has not been a part of those conversations, I want to leave you with the names of those 3 shows. If you have not had a chance to view them, they are each a beautiful spiritual lesson, an experience of some aspect of divine mind that we're not usually so aware of. The first one was the 6-episode BBC show called Good Omens that made me aware for the first time of the power of the goodness that we all have in us. Even when, it seems like angels and devils and witches and their lovers and their descendants and Satan and everybody is engaging in the world. And by golly, every single one of them sometimes is expressing the goodness in them, even though sometimes they're also expressing the evil. That's part of their vision of who they are, of who they're supposed to be. But overall, the effect of experiencing those 6 episodes in season 1 of that show is becoming aware of, hey, a good ending, a good outcome always happens. Partly because the humans and the angels and the devils and everybody else are tripping all over ourselves and making mistakes. And somehow what comes through is the goodness that we all are inside. It's funny, it's an amazing experience. But to see how good outcomes happen through everybody making their own mistakes kind of gives a whole different perspective on, okay, we're not perfect, but somehow we're good enough that we create love and positive outcomes, positive experiences. The second show is a movie. It's set in a small town. Don't know if it's a real town or not, in Eastern Canada. This is apparently based on a true story. They sponsored a family of Syrian refugees who all showed up in the middle of winter. And so they were met at the train station with lots of coats, hats, and scarves and mittens. And they, of course, had never experienced a cold day before. So that's the beginning. And the older generation members of the family don't know any English or French or any language that Anybody in Canada knows. And they were Muslims in a very Christian community. And they didn't behave like objects of charity are supposed to behave. They didn't docilely, evolve, emerge, express themselves as victims. They took charge of their own destiny in ways that kind of made everybody look at them askance. And by golly, they all learned to love each other. And in the end, they really enhanced the prosperity and the community sense of that small town and the areas around it, called Peace by Chocolate. So that's another one to put on your list. And the
Excuse
third
me,
one,
can I say? It's
Yeah.
actually true. It
Yeah.
is true. It is a true
Okay.
story. You can buy chocolate all over Nova Scotia that they make.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew it was in Eastern Canada. It's in Nova
Mhm.
Scotia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I knew it was a true story.
Mhm.
But the story is marvelous.
Mhm.
I highly recommend it. And you'll enjoy it. And you'll also see people figuring out how to love each other.
Actually,
Even,
I
yeah,
also want to say I was at the presentation of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal to one of them.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yes, it's a quintessentially Canadian story, which I
Mhm.
figured you guys would also enjoy.
Yeah.
I did. And the third movie that I proposed is called Wildcat. And it is the true story of a new kind of wildlife refuge growing up in Peru to save and to raise and return to the wild injured and orphaned wild animals that are carnivores. So they focus a lot on wildcats. And it's the story of a very disturbed veteran of the war in Afghanistan who ended up in this place in Peru and agreed to mother 2 baby wildcats in succession. And the love that existed, that grew between each of the wildcats and this young, very disturbed guy, and the power that it had both for the cats and for the young man is totally inspiring. So anybody who has a cat at home, I mean, I swear these wildcats, they purred, they rubbed, they were so loving in their relationship with this young man, and it was extremely powerful. So that's one of the things I want to leave you with, is that list of awesome shows that I suggest you share with somebody in person. It's a spiritual experience that you don't have to name as a spiritual experience, but you will share it with whoever you watch the shows with. So that's another thing that we talked about, it at least, is the theme, the topic of all of those shows and how it shows up in our lives. And in talking about that, I felt like I got to know the people who were there with me better, and I came to love you all. So it was a very positive experience for me. And of course, joining you in Sunday service each week has been rewarding and beautiful. And I thank all of you who have joined us at this time and shared your lovingness and your spiritual awareness, your power as a divine idea. That is what I will remember from this month that I have spent with you all. So, as you think about being an idea in divine mind, use that awareness to think beyond the physical dimension, think beyond what you learned as a child and, mistakes that you may have made and people that weren't happy with you. That is not who any of us really is. When we turn our awareness to what we really are, an idea in divine mind, how far can that take you? Just ask that question and think about it. And when you decide that you want to experience something, become aware of what limitations are you setting automatically on your vision of what you can expect for yourself. All of us do that when we're not thinking of ourselves as expressions of divine mind. We see our limited physical self. But what we need to do is to turn away from the small me and focus on each of us as an expression of spirit, source, of limitless wholeness and possibility. When we each think about how can I be helpful in this situation? We don't have to do a lot. We don't have to fix anything. We simply need to be loving and to show it simply, to smile, to listen, to let people know that we have observed and heard and understood how they may be suffering in this moment. And that they are held and supported and loved very simply by someone else who shares their divine nature. We can all serve each other in that way. And the more we are willing to do that without limits, without saying, oh, well, I'm too busy right now. A smile is not a major expenditure of energy. And it may be that simple. And it never does any harm to share a smile with someone or to say, hi, glad to see you. Or, wow, thanks. Simple little interactions that come from the heart, that come from divine mind, that express the love that spirit has for everybody. We are all inherently whole, beautiful, perfect, wonderful in the eyes of spirit. Can we see that in each other? We can get better at it as we turn our attention over and over again into divine mind. And it's you know, we all have people in our lives that when we see them coming, we'd kind of like to turn around and go the other way. Everybody has one or two of those, if not more. And that's not a loving thought. So can we become conscious of how we and others are expressions of God, perfection, beauty, peacefulness, of love, of kindness? We all have those things in us, even if we only express them once every 10 years. It's there. So if you want joy, if you want awareness of possibility, if you want free opportunities to bring smiles to others and to feel joy in yourself, it's a question of, okay, I can do this. I just need to remember it. And to decide, hey, that's worth doing. To remember myself in divine mind. Myrtle Fillmore said to us as ideal humans, quote, daily declare that your spiritual life and world, your mental life and world, your physical life and world are unified. Mental, spiritual, physical, one. And, ending the quote, that you are expressing harmoniously the ideas of divine mind on all three levels: mental, spiritual, physical. It's an awareness. It's a reminder. It's something we can remind ourselves to do in moments of going within and finding our beauty in the silence. The beautiful higher self that greets us there. It's a choice we can make. And the more we choose to do it, to turn our awareness to spirit in ourselves and other people, the more joy we will experience. Just absolute surprising joy. I had been thinking about this and practicing it for a while last week. And my daughter called. And she's, well grown up. She just turned 50. And her boyfriend had broken up with her. And she was in tears. And I, welcomed her call and just listened. Asked a question or two, but basically I was listening. And that was the most amazing experience, that call. Because what I became aware of, which I think is always true of her and basically most people, but I don't generally see it at that level, was I saw and felt how much love she gives to other people. She was talking about her thoughts and her sorrow and her feelings. I just became so aware of even in this time of great disappointment, she was an amazingly loving human being. And I thought, wow, I don't usually see that in her. I don't usually see that in anybody. But that's a truth. And there was something about her vulnerability in that moment of pain where she wasn't hiding who she was. And it was a great gift for me to both to be a loving witness, just letting her know that, yeah, I got it. Yeah, she was really suffering. And what I was thinking too at the same time was, wow, she's amazing. And that's a little bit what my experience has been with you all, Community Center of Montreal, during this month of sharing meditations and discussions and prayers. That I have felt that not 100% of the time, one doesn't, but enough to realize that I'm really grateful for having had this experience with your community, with our community. So, as a final this month reminder from the ideas that we've shared and the experiences that we've shared. Yes, the one important lesson is to remember that mind, all mind, is one. It's divine. It's perfect. It's wonderful. And in that one divine mind, no matter how we are feeling in the moment, it's always there. It's always in us. We can always call it back, call our awareness back into knowing it, knowing ourselves as it, knowing the people around us as it. And the more we do this, the happier we will feel. Our whole purpose for coming to Earth in a physical body is to discover and learn to express the one truth of divine mind. Learn to express it more and more. And so now I invite you to join me in a few moments of meditation together. Let us join together in releasing all our physical concerns to spirit, just turning them over, knowing that divine mind is always a part of us, always seeking to express through us. Let's just become aware of that. As we slow our breathing and pay attention to slow, regular rhythm of breathing, which is sharing life. When we breathe, we are being a part of the universe in a very dynamic, real way. Exchanging life-giving oxygen with plants and giving them carbon dioxide that they need to breathe. We are always part of divine mind in this very simple physical way, as well as in the ideas that we can perceive or grasp. We are blessed to form a spiritual community as we express the love in divine mind. When we are together, aware of the silence we share, the divinity we share in that silence, we know that we are one with every earth being. We see and appreciate the divine expression that all of us are here together several times a week. And I invite you to spend the next 3 or 4 minutes in the silence, breathing slowly and becoming more aware of power and the beauty of one love. Now I invite you slowly and gently to bring your awareness back into your body, into physical awareness of each other that we share in expressing spirit. Feel the energy returning to your arms, legs, hands, and feet. Feel your mind returning to its vital energy. And slowly and gently, as it feels right, return to opening your eyes and share your resplendent, loving smile with everybody with whom we have shared this experience, everybody on your screen. Remember the good feeling of being part of this spiritual fellowship, sharing love and goodness. May we all remind each other every day of divine mind expressing as all of us, caring, sharing, nurturing, listening, and holding those we meet as we grow and manifest this beautiful community, Unity Center of Montreal. And so it is. And now, in our joy in being part of this community, let's become mindful of our gratitude for having each other, for having this possibility. And I ask you to hold your gratitude offering symbolically or physically to your heart